Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. We're delighted to welcome Marco Rovagnati. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, from Quallie AI, and I'll hand over to him straight away. Hi, Marco.
Thank you, Lucy. That was a great pronunciation of my surname. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, and great to meet you, everyone attending. Today we'll use about half hour of our time to talk about AI-powered qualitative research analysis. The topic is getting to the insight without using without losing the human touch. Feel free to ask any question throughout the conversation in chat, and Lucy might help me throughout to pick up some of those. If I miss them, we will have a few minutes at the end for Q&A as well. I'm going to make a really quick introduction about myself. I am a strategic insights professional. I've been a freelancer since 2016, right? So I've been doing a lot of qualitative research primarily with the sort of view of using the research to inform specific business outcomes, go-to-market strategies, innovation, territories, that sort of things. And some of the companies I've been working with, you might be familiar with, primarily UK-based agencies, just Savanta, C-Space, CrowdDNA, or Horizon Strategy. And our end customers have often been Fortune 500 companies, mostly US-based, such as some of the logos that I've shared. So important to say that I've also come from an independent consultant and insight professional background. I've recently launched Quallie AI, which is a tool to use artificial intelligence in a way that stays true to our craft as researchers and strategists to analyze the work that we do. Before we jump into the topic of analyzing qual, I wanted to briefly discuss the three major trends that are happening in our space with qualitative research. You may be familiar with some of those, but I think it's important to contextualize today's conversation. The first one is synthetic data, and this is something that it's very controversial and raises a lot of discussions around also potentially the morality of it all, right? And it's very threatening for us, for many people I speak to. The way I look at synthetic data is very much a use case of desk research. And I'll give you an example. This is by fundamentally using generative AI to step in the shoes of some of our customers that we may be interviewing. And I found it very helpful as a way of sort of enhancing my desk research. And for instance, I have a project with 10 very high-profile experts coming up, and I might run some synthetic users before speaking to the actual expert to help me with my hypothesis, right? So I'm referring to it as sort of enhanced desk research, something that I encourage testing out, platform like synthetic users, or you can even try with ChatGPT itself by prompting it to say, behave like a XYZ person. The second one is AI moderated interviews. I think of those as somehow smart surveys. And if you haven't tried them, I suggest checking out Tellet, which is I think a Dutch-based company with a great British CEO. And they specialize in connecting to consumers through WhatsApp, but with AI moderating the conversation, right? I call them somehow smart surveys. I'm sure they would not like me using this term, but I suggest testing them out and sort of making your own opinion about this. And the assumption very often here is they're going to help us scale, achieve the depth of qual, but at scale. And sometimes it can be true, with the bottleneck very often being recruitment, right? And because you could potentially speak to 1,000 people at the click of a button, but the challenge is often making sure that those 1,000 people are great respondents. The third column, which is what we're going to be discussing today, is using AI to analyze human moderated interviews. This is what we specialize on with Quallie AI, and it's what I refer to as in-depth qual, right? And I'm often talking to researchers and insights professionals around, is AI going to take our jobs, and what's our role with artificial intelligence going forward? And I often say that I'm particularly optimistic on the importance of still conducting face-to-face research, whether it's through a screen or in person, right? Because it gives us a different level of depth and angle. And we may be negotiating our space with new tools, but I don't think it's going away anytime soon, although our role may be transforming slightly, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So jumping into human moderated interview analysis, I assume most of you who do conduct research on a regular basis have tried at least once to copy paste the transcript into ChatGPT, or uploading a document into ChatGPT and giving it various prompts, right? Summarize it, find verbatim quotes. What did they say about X topic? I've sketched together a little sort of map of my workflow when generative AI came out, before I started working on Quallie. And this is what it looked like, right? There were a lot of tools, and I'm making the argument that this complex tech stack is actually detracting from our craft, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But very often I would run a conversation on Zoom, like we're doing right now, upload it to Otter to get my transcript, upload my transcript on ChatGPT, maybe try the Otter chat, right? Do some queries on ChatGPT, then maybe upload them in batch to Notebook LLM, maybe come back to ChatGPT with different tasks, right? And then when it comes to sort of bring it to life, I may ask any of those LLMs to find timestamps for me for relevant quotes, open iMovie, upload all my videos, cut them, trim them, move them to Trint for subtitling, right? And this was my actual workflow, right? Until not long ago. Curious to know if some of you have also experienced it. Feel free to put it in chat. Or another trend I'm seeing, and I'm curious to hear from you as well, is if you've also seeing, you know, the value of having videos in your reports, right? Which is something that a lot of our customers are asking for recently. The common pain points here are primarily linked to three main things. And the first one, to me, is the most important, is that I found myself that by working with these models, I was actually being taken further away from the customer voice, and I was spending so long just telling the system what to do and to get to a decent output, that when I got my output, I actually felt like I was very distant to the voice of Mary or Jonathan, who said that particular quote. Other issues are linked to transcription quality, right? Hallucinations. Finding verbatim is very much hit and miss, right? When you ask it, okay, now reference your answer with some quotes, and it takes a lot of time, right, to train your GPTs and doing it consistently, and it's quite hard to replicate. I want to show you something. I'm gonna share my ChatGPT conversation I was having recently. Where I've uploaded 10 transcripts, right? And just to give you a picture, I'm curious if you've ever done anything like this, right? I've got my 10 transcripts from my conversations, and I'm saying, summarize them based on the following objectives, right? And I kind of got some quotes instead of summaries, maybe because of a previous conversation. But then I say, no, actually, I want the themes, right? Give me some good bullet points. And then he gave me the bullet points, but then I said, no, actually, this is not enough. It's kind of useless. It kind of crashed halfway through. Then I said, this is an example of how I want it, right? And eventually it did it, right? Oh, finally, Giacomo's interview was summarized properly. Love it. Very good summary. Then I'm like, no, do it for the other respondents. And he did something else. And I got this table instead. 2 more prompting. Finally got 2 more. Then I said, there's 7 missing. And finally I got them all. And then I said, I want it in a grid. Oh, fine. And then I got a grid, but it wasn't quite as I was expecting it. And I said, no, I want all the infos. Anyway, you get the idea, right? Before I get to a decent outcome, which I didn't manage to get to yesterday with this example, it takes a long time. And I spent about a half hour, 40 minutes trying to get to the right place. My invite to you is that when we think about qualitative research analysis, we should be practicing on ChatGPT, like I've just showed you, and become familiar with prompting and whispers of AI. But if you're doing this at scale and professionally and seriously, there's an argument in favor of using tools that do the heavy lifting for you, so that you don't have to spend hours chatting to a language model, but they just get you to the right place at the right time. And so that you can focus on the jobs that AI cannot do, which are, driving alignment in the room with your clients, storytelling, making the strategy actionable, right? Those three major things that, from our point of view, are sort of the future skills of a qualitative researcher, of an insight professional, right? Where in the past, it may have been synthesizing. It may have been in a room and knowing what James said exactly, right? With the time that we have left, I'm going to give you a short demo of our platform, Quallie, which primarily focuses on three things, right? Transcribing. We support 50 plus languages. I'll show you how we interact with language models, and we create a friendly interface to extract findings in a consistent way, and how to create video clips in seconds by using a text-based video editor that we've developed. I'm gonna screen share now the browser window. If there's any questions in the meantime, feel free to put them in chat. I don't think I've missed anything yet. All right, so this is our website, Quallie AI. Again, we talk about strategic insights. We talk about the future of qualitative research. It's for it to be more strategic, and I think we have to sort of evolve into that role. And I'm sure most of you already have sort of a very important place in your clients' businesses, right? So once you sign into the platform, this is what it looks like. It's very much designed for agencies and freelancers. So we think about clients and projects. So we have our clients here on the side, surf company, a media company, right? And I can navigate through those folders. For today's demo, I'm going to show you 11 interviews that have been conducted by myself and some of my colleagues with surfers across different levels, so beginners to advanced, to discuss the role of technology in surfing and the evolution of surf culture, right? You could think of this as a segmentation study potentially, or a persona development type of study with a few questions around the purchase journey. So with Quallie, you run your research somewhere else, on Zoom, on whatever other streaming platform provider. You come and you upload it to the tool, and it generates transcripts for you, which looks something like this. The transcripts are obviously playable, so I'll show you an example. I'm going to play from here.
So weirdly enough,
right, so this is me talking to James, who's an advanced surfer from based in Ericeira. One of our key things that we think about with this tool is avoiding the famous death by 1,000 cuts. So we focus a lot on usability. So wherever you're in the platform, you can just click on any word and play from there.
I think 14 or 15, and I had my third.
Play from everywhere. We have some table stakes, for instance, checking transcription quality. It tells us if there's any word it's unsure of, and those words are editable. The first thing that we do with artificial intelligence is generating a summary. The summaries are here on the side, and they're based on my project objectives. So just like I showed you, I did with ChatGPT, I said, here are my 5 objectives, and help me summarize them. And one of our key concepts is that anything that's AI generated is linked to the source data and is linked to a video, right? So here, if I go, for example, I've asked it to tell me about the preference and purchase journeys for board and gear. So I click on here, right, talking about the methodological approach, comparing to choosing shoes. It takes me straight to minute 7:28, where I can play from here.
Why do you have so many pairs of shoes? Why don't you just have one pair?
Right. So when we talk about not losing the human touch, this is our core principle around whatever is AI generated needs to be with one click away from listening to the voice of our respondent. Right. All of our summaries are stored here side by side one another. Right. So I've got Andy, Giacomo, Silvia, etc. The equivalent of this on ChatGPT would be having 11 different chats and 11 different prompts. Right. So you can still get to this type of summary, but it will take you a lot longer. And again, here we have the same concepts. Wherever there is an AI-generated answer, I can one click away listen to my respondent talking about.
Like, I wanted to talk more, and if you want to get better at surfing, you need to.
Right. So here's Andy talking about the career transition and lifestyle change. Another really core feature of our platform that again stands the test of accuracy is this toggle that exists throughout the platform, which basically transforms all of my answers from a summary AI generated to a quote. Right. So again, really quickly going, what are my quotes linked to the career transition, right? And here I have Andy saying, surfing was a part of that. I want to surf more. If you want to get better, you have to spend time near the ocean, right? And this is the same quote that I could get to by clicking through. Where the tool becomes really powerful is in this tab called questions. This is where you can start to structure your findings in a grid format. You can import questions from a discussion guide, or you can add them manually. I'm going to add a question manually just to show you. So one of the themes we discussed was the relationship between surfing and technology. So I'm going to ask, what's the relationship between surfing and technology? And I'm going to go here, give it a nickname, Surf Tech. What this going to do is going to generate an answer for each of my respondents. So again, the equivalent of going into 11 ChatGPT conversations and saying, what's the relationship between surfing and technology? But everything that's going to be generated will be hyperlinked with the voice and the video of the customer. So it's generating. We have some answers coming in. So Margot talks about filming analysis tools enhance performance, right? And here we have her talking about drones and cameras. And again,
drones, the camera, filming the guys, also the.
So it's a really intuitive and fast way to navigate our findings in a way that wouldn't be able with simply through transcript, right? So again, the principle of not losing the human touch is for us getting us closer and to the videos and making the videos much more accessible, right? The tool works in different languages. So for instance, here, it is really designed for multi-market research, right? So here we have an answer, but it all brings to an English-centered analysis, right? So depending on the language in which you ask the question, the answers will be in that language. But here, for instance, we have Giacomo talking about predictive forecasting while the interview was conducted in Italian. Okay. We have an on-platform translation. So I've previously translated this into English, so I can quickly see what the topic is. If there's any Italians on the call, they can vouch for the quality of the translation. I see Anna smiling. And so hopefully this is clear, right? And the way you use the tool is to, you would build on here and say, what's the relationship between surf and culture, right? We talked a lot about surf culture and what it means for them, right? So I'm going to ask this question as well, surf culture. While I'm asking the question, I'm also generating an overview for the previous one. What this first tab does is it looks across all the previous answers and give you an initial thematic analysis of the topics discussed, right? While this page is loading, I want to take you to one of our next core features, which is the ability to create video clips, right? So wherever there is a transcript, let me go back to original language, right? So here we have Andy talking about remember the beginnings and surfboards. We developed this text-based video editor. So simply by highlighting a sentence, I'm going to generate a video clip. So here it tells me 10 seconds video clip, create a video. This gets stored in here in Andy's interview. I'm going to create another one for Sylvia. Technology is necessary for board development. I'm going to create another video. I can give it a name, or it will automatically generate a name based on the content. And let's do one for Jennifer as well, just to show you how quickly you can go from a quote that you like to a video that you want to clip. All of my videos are now stored in this clips folder. right? So those three are the ones that I've just generated. Andy talking about expensive server fees, right? Still remember the beginning. I can play this back. By default, we apply subtitles. And we enable for subtitles to be edited and translated in over 50 languages. I'm going to play this back first.
I still remember in the beginning, I was like, I mean, these fins that you use in surfboards for the being like.
Right here, I can trim if I wanted to shorten the video, and it's the trimming shows me the text being edited. Subtitle translation. We also have an option to anonymize the video, which blurs and distorts the audio if you're doing confidential type research. A feature that we just launched actually last night, it's the ability to clip from a translation. So here we have Giacomo's interview in Italian, right? It's a great passion for the ocean. If I translate this into English, it says it's a huge passion for the ocean. To this day, I devote 70% of my time to it, etc. So I'm gonna highlight this on a translation, but I'm still gonna be able to clip the content, which is an Italian interview, right? So we've had customers, users, a UK-based company working for a big food manufacturing CPG business, doing research in Turkey, and the personalizing. There was a Turkish moderator running the interview. They got off-boarded quite quickly, but they were still able to sort of analyze Turkish content to an extreme level of detail and create video clips as well and highlights. I'll show you here on the Passion for the Ocean video with Giacomo. The subtitling that can be translated. All right, so really quickly I can go from an Italian video with English subtitles. Takes a second to buffer. Here it is.
Una passione, una grandissima passione.
Again, a big time saver that does hopefully get us closer to our customer voice. I'll go back to questions here. I'm aware there's a few minutes left. I want to leave some time for questions if there's any. So in my overview here, it generated my overview of surf technology, right? So digital forecasting, performance analysis, and again, the concept of hyperlinking is still true, where it tells me 7 respondents talked about this topic. And right here I have Jenny, Tazio, David talking about that. And really quickly, I can just click and play back all of those things and create a video clip or a reel if I wanted to. We have a magic wand feature, which is very powerful to do a bit more advanced analysis. This magic wand icon appears everywhere in the platform, and I'm going to show you how to use it. So here you can simply ask for more details or consolidating different points. One thing I like to demo is, for instance, if I'm using the approach to technology of those people as a potential axis for segmentation or for personal development, I could say, use the answers to approach to technology and surf to generate 3 different surfer personas. And again, this is thought as a sparring partner, right? As a sandbox for thinking to help me get started with the draft, which then I might take into a workshop, into a whiteboarding session. Right? Yona is asking, I think I saw you can create video reels for presentations. Yes, that's correct. I'll show you how to do that. So here we have, just going back to the persona prompt, tech-savvy beginners, data-driven performance surfer, the innovation-oriented traditionalist. And again, those are starting point and ideas. You are the one that knows your client and the way they think about persona and frameworks, right? But it's a starting point where I have the tech-savvy beginner with my several quotes. I'll show you reels in a second. I wanted to show you first how here I can also segment the answer based on some tags. So here I've created tags, tag categories, region, surf level, customer type, and I've tagged them by, let's look at the surf level, right? Intermediate to advanced. I'm going to add a segment and say now answer by surf level. While this is thinking, I'll show you how to create a reel. So here I have my 3 videos, right, that we just clipped. technology, shark repelling bands, and ocean passion. I've selected the 3. Click on this button, create reel, the ICG reel, and I'm going to stick them one after the other.
Surfing is a sport.
Those are downloadable. So if I click download, it will be in my download folder, and we always download for a full video being less than 10 megabytes to make it presentation friendly. So I'm just looking at my, yeah, it's less than 10 megabytes. Quickly looking back to the surf level segmentation right here. So we have now the same answer, but based on beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And it still saved my previous answer where I've asked it to generate personas. So I'm navigating in here. Okay, so this was a whistle-stop tour of the platform. There's a couple of minutes left. If there's any question, feel free to shout.
Thank you, Marco. If people want to put on their cameras, that would be great. And if we've got a couple of minutes for questions.
Marco, if I can have a really quick question.
Of course.
I guess, like a lot of people, I've used Coloop and haven't always been super impressed. What would you say are some of the differences or similarities between using this and Coloop?
I think the accuracy in the answers. We for instance, we do speak to some users, right, who share that thought about it. But the fact that we, for example, don't have a chat function, we find that the chat function and the semantic search through chat tends to lead to hallucinations or mismatching in the linking between source data and the actual AI-generated answer. So that's something that we've doubled down on, and we are limited to a grid view with that magic wand, which you can sort of improve the answers with. But I would say that's one of the primary differentiators, and obviously the whole video editing and reel generation, which I believe you can still do some clipping on Coloop, but we're trying to be more sort of video centric in a way.
Thank you, super helpful.
Any other questions? I can't see everybody on the screen, so just speak if you have anything.
What does it cost, Marco?
Great question. So we have a pricing system based on credits, and it's transparent on our website. We do for individual consultants, it's a price per interview of £18. So a price per upload. Here we go. And then we have a pay-as-you-go model, which is flexible, and you just pay for what you upload. It's £30 for agencies. If you're a freelancer or an individual consultant, it's £18 per interview. And then we have yearly plans that go as low as 16 per interview if you're buying in bulk for the year. Yeah. You're muted, Graham.
Presumably per interview, so if one were to upload a focus group, that would qualify as one upload.
Correct. Yes. Yes. And we've had people run some studies where they might speak to the same person 4 times for 20 minutes, and we count that as one as well. Yeah.
Anybody else? Obviously, I'll circulate the recording and put Marco's contact details on there, so you can always contact him afterwards. But any further questions for now? Okay.
Maybe while you think, we are doing a free trial offer for ICG members, which I think is also going to be announced tomorrow during a webinar. But if you sign up through the website, Get Access, you click on this button and enter your name and email. We'll give you a free trial for your next project, whether it starts, tomorrow or next month.
Yeah, thank you for that, and for reminding us. Yes, we will mention that tomorrow, as Quallie AI is sponsoring tomorrow's webinar. So the panel debate tomorrow. So thank you so much, Marco, for your time today. Hopefully this is the start of a conversation between you and our members, and hope everybody has a lovely rest of the day. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.